Hello, we are live. Welcome to New Comic Book Day Book Club. We really should have come up with a title that wasn't such a tongue twister.
I'm just calling it the book club at this point.
All right.
Welcome to the book club.
Take two. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the book club. We're going to talk about new comics. With me, as always, is John's Comics with Kids.
Hey, everybody.
And our guest this week was supposed to be Comic Books NYC, but he is deathly ill with the flu in the hospital. So please wish him well. And filling in at the last minute like a champ, our pal Bueller.
Hello. Hopefully everybody's having a good night. And I just got done reading the book, so I'm excited to talk about it. Thanks for having me back. I'm a two-timer. Do I get some kind of award?
First
two-timer? Yeah, you're the first official two-timer.
I think it's like SNL. If you get to the 5-timers club, you get a vest or some sort of robe.
My ex-wife, she was a two-timer.
Oh, wow. With the jokes.
Setting up strong.
In the chat already, we got Wingnut, we got Comic G-Man, Decaf Raven, Randy Rasnake, TJ Watson, again, TJ, thank you. Big Snake, DS Comics.
Yeah, big props to TJ. What a great show. Was it Tuesday night? Yeah, having you and Matt and TJ in the chat, that was phenomenal.
DS Comics, Bubs Comics, Tony Sanders, we were just talking about you before we started about how you're going broke in January. Art Germ just announced some more Captain Marvel variants. Comic Head 84. Jeffrey Comic-Con.
Wingnut.
I Got Issues, as always. All right.
And Decaf Raven, I was chatting with him a bunch today. He's awesome.
You didn't miss much except for me messing up the intro, Decaf Raven, so perfect timing. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's like a Batman day today between Damned and from Batman Who Laughs, which, by the way, for those that don't know, we're doing Batman Who Laughs today. And
I probably should have said that. I'm bad at these intros.
So I kept saying Batman Damned or Batman.
Batman Who's Damned.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. The last few days have been very busy for me.
Yeah, the Bueller box sold out, huh?
They're sold out and they are shipped out, and feels good.
And you did like extra, didn't you? Make like 8 or 10 extra.
Well, what happened? People bought, because I bought 50 boxes. Okay, actual cardboard boxes to ship them out. Okay. So I was going to do 50, but people bought multiple, like 2 or 3 of them. So I was able to put them in the same boxes and stuff. So at the end, I had almost 15 boxes left. So I ended up selling 65 of those Bueller boxes in one day.
That's amazing. Good for you. Okay, congrats, man. That's huge.
Yeah. And then I shipped them all out. I'll tell you something funny. There's so many boxes in the back of my truck. And, there's like 5 different post offices around my area, and I just drove in a circle and dropped off like 10 at each one.
So you didn't want to drop them all off at one?
Yeah, so I just did a circle and went around, and the last one is at my local comic shop that I'm going to, so I just dropped them off and then went and picked up my parts.
Were you embarrassed? Were you worried that they'd call attention to you or something?
I don't know. It's just weird. There's so many of them. I was like, what are we, I don't know, but they're all out.
That was a good choice.
They're all out and they're all good to go. And, I
want to see the person who gets the shiny cover box. That's the one I'm really most interested in seeing. I know that Decaf Raven's saying he hopes it's him.
That one, I think that one is in someone who either bought 2 or 3. So I think it's in the same thing. So, and then I almost had another one, but I forgot to put it in there. So I have the packs already made, what I'm saying? But I just have to get the stuff for them to do. The comics are not the problem. It's all the other stuff that's the problem.
Well, congrats to you, man, because that's a huge feat, and it sounds like it was a huge hit. I can't wait to see the unboxings as they start popping up all over the place.
Yeah, it'll be kind of cool, real cool.
I just messaged Hulk Nuts because he gives me a hard time that he doesn't get the notifications on my channel. So I don't know if he's busy, but just want to make sure he doesn't get give me a hard
Well,
time again.
he's the all-star of the chat. We got to make sure he's always in there.
Well, there's a lot of all-stars in this chat, but he's certainly the most
vocal,
unique.
So I'm curious, what covers did you guys end up going with? I got the Capullo all black one that I'm struggling not to touch.
Yes.
So, yeah, this thing's a fingerprint magnet. And here's the thing. All right. So I got my copy home. There is a cut right down the middle of it right there.
That made me very upset watching that happen.
Yeah. And so I'm taking this back and getting another one tomorrow. But yeah, it's like when they open the box.
Yeah, they
sliced it. And but it's a reader copy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can palm it all you want.
Yeah. Palm it all I want there.
The last time I got a defective comic, I don't know how I didn't notice this in the store. The staples were through the middle of the book.
Oh man!
So I literally couldn't read it because I couldn't open it.
Oh geez.
But yeah, that beat cover. Sam's Tangled Web Comic Crypto Stock. What's up? Thank you for joining. So let's jump right in.
Yeah. So I will say I am not super familiar with Dark Knight Metal. I know very little about the characters that are kind of important in this story. So as far as backstory or what you might need to know going in, I was really limited. Obviously, I knew the real basic premise of the Batman Who Laughs, but I was definitely probably on the lesser side as far as knowing what I needed to maybe know going in, and that was a challenge for me. I'll just say as a rookie going in.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat as you are, John, to be totally honest with you.
Great. So 3 for 3.
Help us
so
out.
It might be that somebody who's read all the Dark Knight Metals and all those tie-ins, and I will say I've got a few of the trades because my LCS had a deal going on them at one point, and I've owned some of them, but I have yet to actually work my way through them all.
So having said all that, I wasn't especially lost. It wasn't like I was picking up a book and I was like, okay, I'm in the middle of a story and I don't know what's going on.
They did explain, not in a huge detail, but they did lay a foundation for you to know where this character's come from, kind of a little bit of his history, which I appreciate that. And that was good for the first issue to do because like the rest of us, we're not tremendously familiar. So it wasn't like I was just totally lost, but it would help if we went back and did a little bit more research.
Yeah, or if they had like the, single page catch you up on the story type of deal.
Yeah, Marvel I know does those a bunch, right?
I will say that this was much less funny than the last book we did with you, Bueller.
There
was one solid joke in there, but that was about it.
And it's called The Batman Who Laughs, and the other book we did was Dead Man Logan. So I mean, you think it would be the opposite?
Right.
Well, that's what my wife said. She's like, "What book are you doing this week?" I said, "It's called The Batman Who Laughs," and she's like, "Is it a comedy? Is it like this doesn't sound like anything?" And I showed her the cover, and she's like, "Okay, I get it."
That's not.
I want to read
what's up to the Comic Corps and to Lindsay's Geeked Out?
Oh, Comic Corps is in here. Hi guys.
And Jeffrey Comic-Con Henson said, "I read they were trying to make it so anybody could jump in without having read any of the previous Metal series." And Grey Matter Hulk just jumped in.
I think they do have some of those, so the first page here right at the beginning is a flashback page, and I did like it a lot because it sets up who Bruce is, and then it gives a good anecdote or a story where it sets up with him having maybe authentically the last great laughing moment in his life, which is obviously going to be vital when you're talking about the Batman Who Laughs. So it's a nice little, and they use those flashback elements a few different ways that are kind of cool.
As we know, Batman or Bruce Wayne is notoriously a cheerful gentleman.
Yeah, very, very upbeat. And in fact, Ryan and I joke a lot about that because I like Batman and he likes Superman, and we go back and forth on which character we both feel very strongly that the other person's favorite is a very flat, one-noted character, and that the one that we like more is a very three-dimensional, sort of fleshed out character. We both feel very strongly that the other one is completely wrong in this department.
Yeah.
My favorite, two of my favorite issues from this Tom King run of Batman, to get off topic for 1 second, was the double date that they did. I thought he did an awesome job of doing that, of like the perspective of like why they respect each other. And
yeah, did you ever read that one, Bueller?
I read the one Batman, the Tom King one, where there was like 6 words in the whole book. It was like a couple issues ago. It was the big fight scene. That's the last one I read, and I enjoyed it because there was only a few words, and you know, it had like the little kids thing in it as well.
Yeah, with the little like fable or whatever.
Yeah, so I like that, but I haven't read it since then.
The one Alec is talking about was right before the wedding issue, and there's a double date with Lois and Superman and Bruce and Selina, Catwoman, and they go to a fair where it's like superhero themed. You have to dress as a superhero to go in.
Nice.
And so they don't want to dress as themselves, so they swap costumes. Bruce dresses as Superman, and Clark dresses as Batman. And then the ladies, like, you know, for whatever reason, I guess Lois dresses as Catwoman, and Selina just gets away with being a badass and just going right in. But it's fun to see them playing with each other's personalities when you have Bruce forced to dress as Superman. It's very entertaining.
Wow. That's kind of like the CW shows that were on when the Arrow was just the Flash, and the Flash was the Arrow on the Arrow.
It's the Elseworld, right?
Elseworld thing, yeah.
The chat is asking if you're wearing a Seth Rollins shirt. So I think it's supposed to be a Game of Thrones shirt, but I don't know if that is actually a wrestling shirt or not.
It's the Kingslayer, so it's definitely a play on Game of Thrones and the Slayer band font. But hey, I'm cool with Rollins, so if that's the way you want to roll, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna say it's a Seth Rollins shirt.
Is it?
Sure.
I mean, you know current wrestling better than I do.
I don't know about that. I heard you're a big fan.
From whom?
Nobody.
Yeah. No, I once was. I followed it very closely for a long time.
No, I'm a fan. We actually do the pay-per-view reviews on the Great Legends channel sometimes. So.
So getting back to the actual issue we're talking about, the one thing that I found confusing, which was more, I think, a visual storytelling thing, was when the Batman Who Laughs appears. I got no sense of where he was in that space. For a second, I thought like the Batman with the guns had taken off his costume and was that underneath.
And I'll say, like, to back it up a little bit. So you begin with the fight on the freeway. Bruce is chasing some bad guys. Batman's chasing some bad guys, and he stops them. And then I felt like the problem you're describing was one that I had several times.
Yeah.
So like he breaks in and he captures the cargo these guys are hauling, and it's a coffin with Bruce Wayne inside of it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm left kind of like, okay, wait, well, now what's going on? I got the Batman Who Laughs, which I think is supposed to be Bruce Wayne, and then I got a dead body Bruce Wayne, and then I've got my Bruce Wayne, like as Batman, and it's hard to know where I am, like in time and space. And then of course the next page is that awful freaking Snickers ad.
Yeah, God, I hate those.
Time. Now I'm like, what is Wonder Woman doing here? This is so bright and glossy.
I was gonna say the art at least was like vastly different enough that
between this and Batman Damned, I think my eye strain was like slaughtered by this ad. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so bright. And then we jump to the morgue.
Yeah.
Where now Bruce is dressed as a coroner. And I'm like, okay, this is even more confusing because there's a Bruce Wayne dead on the table, and our Bruce Wayne is dressed as another guy. Yeah. It's like everybody is somebody else.
That at least was intentionally misleading, I think.
I think, it's in the first panels where it's showing Batman when he opens the coffin. I don't think they show his face hardly at all, like the actual Batman. They kind of wait until they jump to the morgue, and then you see, and I'm like, who's that guy? And I thought that it was someone off panel, and then I realized, oh, that's apparently Bruce Wayne that's working in the morgue. Right. And of course, he takes his mask off the parrot, and he needs on, even though there's nobody there, he's still wearing a mask to disguise himself.
Well, he says a line, something about how he needs to get out of there before the actual coroner wakes up.
Yeah, and that's apparently the little like legs that we see sticking out in the background, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
It's subtle.
Yeah, I was confused. I'm very easily confused.
But I mean, it was all the action scenes were really cool. Like when he was jumping off of the car or off the motorcycle onto the truck, and then when the Batman was infiltrating Arkham and just like stabbing dudes in the head. When I saw that page, I flipped back to the cover. I'm like, is this a black issue? Like a black label issue? It just says teen plus. I'm like, the dude got a knife in his head. Yeah.
Well, and I kept, like you're saying, I kept losing track of where I was and who I was watching. It felt like there were a lot of skipping and jump. And like when he lost his motorcycle, I was like, wait, I had to go back and figure out where did the bike go? Like what happened to the bike?
Yeah. Comic Crypto Stock says, do you know what the first appearance of the Batman with the guns is? Is that his real name? And no, I don't.
Bruce calls him the Grim Knight at the end. When he's talking to Gordon, he gives that guy a name, and he says everybody's calling him the Grim Knight. So they're probably trying to give us the name we should be using for him.
Right.
Surreptitiously. I
found it seeing the Batman who laughs in conversation very silly.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, the next bit after
like when he's talking to Gordon,
he figures out that the body in the morgue is actually Bruce Wayne. And he's starting to wonder what this means for alternate timelines and things, because that's obviously a significant part of what's going on. And then we jump to Arkham Asylum, where this Grim Knight character with all the guns, this guy, is just laying waste.
And did he just have those like under his cape? How did they not
know? That's a great question.
He's like the Punisher. He's just got guns everywhere.
First appearance of Batman with a gun was Detective Comics 27.
Yeah, I think the sequence you're talking about is this guy with the knife in his head.
Yeah, and then the next dude gets like shot through the dome.
Yeah. So they bust in, and I got totally confused at this bit because he goes to the Joker's cell, and he stands there and he's like, Joker's like, "Are you finally here to kill me?" And he says, "No." And then he turns and walks away. And then all of a sudden, the next panel is
that's what I was talking about.
And he's like, I am. And it's like, okay, wait, there was two guys there? Because I never saw two guys. There's a lot of those kind of like sneaky reveals.
But there should have been like a shadow or a silhouette or something behind him to say like, there's a second person here.
Is it a second person though, or is it the same guy? I don't know does he have power to like look different or something? I don't know.
I think it's two dudes.
And they imply later that somehow Bruce has all this knowledge that I don't know how he got it, but he implies that Batman Who Laughs has been going from dimension to dimension to like wipe out whatever he views as his enemies. And he's been apparently collecting things that he needs, including maybe this Grim Knight from one other dimension. He's brought this guy along to help him fulfill his plan.
Yeah, he's basically said he's like me without the morals. Grim Knight is not the same as the Batman with guns.
No, it's different.
Says Decaf Raven.
So then, so this guy in the cell, whoever this Joker is, he gets killed.
Right, but he's not the Joker.
Then we go to Alex's favorite bits in any comic, which is the exposition pages.
Oh man,
we got two full pages of just Bruce Wayne talking to Gordon and giving all the exposition for the whole issue.
So. Yes, I'm not a fan of exposition. I will say, though, in this case, it wasn't as excruciating for me as it was like in Green Lantern, because in Green Lantern, both the characters who were talking to each other already knew what the other one was talking about. In this, at least, Batman was explaining something to Gordon that he wasn't privy to before he told him. So it was, he's telling the readers and kind of, But,
well, and that's Gordon's job most of the time, is to be the guy who's like, wait, I don't understand. Explain it to me.
Yeah. Without this 2 pages, you would have been really lost. I mean, I was already kind of lost. But without these 2 pages bringing me up to speed, and that's kind of what those 2 pages do. It did help out a little bit.
Bake the Snake says he didn't read it, but didn't Bruce look at the dark side equation in something like that in Metal, and that's why he has all of this backstory knowledge. So that would be an interconnected piece that I did not have that might make some sense of it.
Yeah, I probably should have read up on Metal before reading this book, huh?
Well, that was another issue I've got is I bought a few of the trades when they were cheaper at my LCS, but there were like 6 or 7 of these things, and they all interconnected. And I had trouble knowing, like, okay, which one do I read before which one? Even the websites were like, no, you read an issue from this trade, and then an issue from that trade, and then an issue from this trade.
Well, right, because there was like the Metal miniseries, but then there was like all the other miniseries that came out simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ton. There was a ton of tie-ins for that Metal. I remember just seeing like one book after another with all just subtle different titles, but they all tied into the Metal run.
What's up, Kachung and Stay Puft? Thanks for popping in, even if you can't stay. Appreciate it.
Well, and Kachung, he's traveling, he's globetrotting, so I know he's probably just in a hotel using their Wi-Fi to join us up here. So thanks for taking the time. So all of that seems to culminate in a bit where Bruce seems to somehow realize that the Joker that just died in Arkham is not the Joker.
Yeah, because of something, and he figures out something about a club, and he goes there, and then
and it all sort of leads him to understand not only like where the Joker is, but where the Joker's going, and all of this stuff, which I did not intuitively get. Bruce Wayne clearly smarter than me. Like I was like, how did you figure this all out? It's amazing.
And like, since when can Joker breathe underwater?
Since there's an advertisement for Aquaman on the back of the book.
Nailed it.
That's it right there.
Osmosis.
But yeah, so the end, he, I think reading those books would help I understand what's going on. Yeah, TJ was saying that he was pretty caught up on this.
All right, so yeah, TJ, if there's anything that we're missing that you want to throw in, somebody's threw in something about the dark side equation. If that makes sense to you, Bake the Snake was throwing that out. Yeah, I do understand that the Batman Who Laughs' entire story is going dimension to dimension, and it's explained in Metal. And then obviously this is tying into that, where he's going from one to the next and doing his awful works.
Yeah. Hope we don't sound like utter buffoons. And conveniently earlier in the story, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, hopefully no more sore than usual. Hey, Fire Guy Ryan, what's up? So conveniently earlier in the story, during the exposition, Batman mentions that he thinks the Joker has a toxin in his heart that's going to turn the next person who kills him into the next Joker or whatever.
So where'd that come from? Is that something that has some foundation somewhere else?
As far as I know, that was purely set up for the ending.
Okay.
Which I thought was...
But it does seem to be something that he knew based on how the Batman Who Laughs became what he is, right? Yeah, it might have been something from Dark Knight Metal that he learned when he had this vision, or what say you?
Decaf Raven says, what I want to know is this a miniseries about the old Batman Who Laughs, or, spoiler alert for the ending, the new Batman Who Laughs who is just created? Or is it easier to say both?
Ooh, do we have another? Maybe this is perfect. Bueller's here. We have another Dead Man Logan time loop fulfilling itself.
Yeah. It is, or is this the same Batman Who Laughs?
It's one of them. I don't know enough about this character, unfortunately.
There are infinite Batman Who Laughs in infinite universes.
It seems like it.
Well, and then let me get to this other one. So, like, if we believe the dark side equation or whatever gave Bruce Wayne all this fundamental knowledge, and he understands all these things, how did Joker figure it all out so that he shows up at the Batcave and infects Batman? Like, he's got this master.
And why would he want to do that?
Yeah.
I want to know how Joker figured all this stuff out and then decided to come up with this as his master plan. Batman Who Laughs paradox says great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do we know what Earth this is? Yeah, I'm assuming this is not like whatever the 616 equivalent of the DC universe Earth is, because Joker just died and Batman is an insane person now.
No.
I'm willing to say that there's two moments here for Big Will's comment. Either Big Will's making a joke or he's serious, but either way, I'm totally confused by his, in the Endgame story, Joker can hold his breath because of Dionysium. And he could be totally BSing me on this right now and that could be a completely sarcastic comment, or he could be legitimately giving me backstory. I don't know either way, but I'm in.
Let's take it as canon.
So the Joker died twice. Different character, different guy, but died twice in this book.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool.
Joker is. It ties into the Snyder's run. Dionysium. Okay. Fire Guy Ryan is confirming.
Okay, so it's serious. It just sounded like somebody's making something up and having fun with me, which is fine. I'm okay with that.
Read your DC Comics.
I'm trying, Ryan. There were so many tie-ins.
You read your Marvel comics.
Dark Knight Metal had like 700 tie-ins.
Well, you know, one thing I noticed on
Not joking, and I have arrived.
I was surprised, like, you know, obviously the Joker and Batman are you know, hero and villain type thing. And then Batman wants to save the Joker at the end of this book. He's like, you'll be safe here, you know,
yeah, right.
that's
like we need to work together.
That's the type of foe that the Batman Who Laughs and the other character that they're going to go up against. So,
well, because Batman is not a killer, so he despite having killed Joker in many stories across many years, he doesn't want the Joker to die. He just wants him to be incarcerated, right?
And I think that's kind of selfish on Batman's part when you think about it.
Yeah.
He should be a killer. Think of how many lives
could be saved if he had just killed a couple. Well, it's that would you kill one person to save 5 people type of thing.
Well, it's not 5 people. It's like
right,
you know,
but
thousands
that
and thousands
classic,
of people.
yeah, that classic.
And it's comic book people. It's not real people. Just so we get that clear.
I would never kill anybody for any reason.
Yeah. So,
I always felt like Batman and the Punisher were like right there on either side of that line, like really, really close to the line. I mean, obviously you have Captain America, who's like super far away from it, like Superman or whatever. And on the other side, you have all your villains. But like where that line is, you have Punisher and Batman like right there, on either side.
On either side of it,
yeah.
So yeah, at the end, Joker kills himself with a trick gun. He points it at Batman and it shoots himself. And Batman rushes over to him, and the toxin that he assumed was in his heart releases and turns Batman into the Batman Who Laughs. The end.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the next issue is going to start with Alfred being raped by Batman Who Laughs.
That's a bold assumption.
Wow, you're just going straight for it, aren't you?
Well, for me, like I read this, and then I read Batman Damned 2, and then I read this again, and then I read Batman Damned 2 again, and I was seeing so many like similarities.
Yeah.
You have Joker dead in both storylines. You have Batman completely lost and confused in how far he can take his violence and where it's going to lead him. And all these people pretending to be one person, but they're actually somebody else. You have Harley dressing up as Batman in that, and this other guy dressing up as Joker, and then somebody else dressing up as Joker in this. It's a lot of that. Like there were so many things that reminded me of each other. I was just waiting for something really raw.
Great Legend Show. Hello, I am also on. Thanks for noticing. Count Von Strange the Fourth. What's up?
Good to see you, Mr. Legend, sir. I don't have your voice. I wish I did, but welcome to the chat.
Is that an inside joke that I'm missing, or is he just better friends with you?
No, I don't think so. I think he subscribes to my channel, but I think he subscribes to both of us, I'd imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
I just love his voice. I'm addicted to his voice.
He's a good guy. He's one of my favorites.
Decaf Raven says, we know there's a timeline thing going on here because of the younger Bruce Wayne that is dead. Maybe the point of showing that to point towards there being the origin of the original Batman Who Laughs. Yeah. So what's up, All About Comics? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, it's definitely funky. I don't know like when or where this takes place.
And then like, so Batman Who Laughs comes to our timeline. He brings 2 different Bruce Waynes with him besides himself, because he technically is a Bruce Wayne as well. He brings this grim knight, gun Punisher Batman, and then he brings this dead body, which he's apparently shuttling around Gotham in a coffin for some reason, which I don't know why, except to mess with Batman in his timeline. And then all of this to like then show up and kill a fake Joker. This is quite a convoluted plot. Although admittedly, I was talking with Sasquatch last night, and clearly this plot is not nearly half baked as some of the ones he was sharing on his. Those are wild. I guess this one makes a little more sense, right?
Decaf Raven says the Batman Who Laughs was created to stop his future self. Time paradox. That's kind of what I was trying to get at. Where like this is his origin and he created himself, or the Joker creates him to stop him from being, I don't know. That guy in the vest is Bueller, yeah. So should we do a quick pull list question and then briefly talk about Batman Damned, because the chat seems to be
because I saw there was a great question about Batman Damned that I wanted to make sure we didn't lose.
Yeah. So
Bueller, are you going to have this on your pull list for next issue?
Probably not. Obviously I got a bad copy with this one, so I mean, it kind of ruined it for me at the beginning. But honestly, I read it, and if I went and did some more research on the Batman Who Laughs, maybe I'd be more interested. But right now, it's just kind of I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me. There's some other options out there, like the Batman Damned, which I really like the first one of those. So, but this one I'm probably going to pass, and I'll wait till it's sitting in the 50-cent box.
For me, I'm definitely going to trade weight for this because it's a 6-issue series, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's a short run like that. And I will say I'm not gonna put it on my pull list. I am like Bueller. I'm gonna go and reread Metal, and I've got those trades, and I'm going to try to really give it a go and see if that enlightens me in some way, and then maybe motivates me to check out a second issue. But for right now, I do love Batman, but this just isn't a story that's exciting me a whole lot.
Story that is exciting me.
I like that DKF Raven put a comment that says Bueller's bias. He had Batman Who Laughs at number 2 this week. I did have it at number 2, but that was before I actually read the book. So that was an anticipation. And unfortunately, it didn't live up to the hype. So there you go.
What do you say? Usually books, and you can talk to Tom about this, I guess, on Friday. But when you see books with like 30 variants, I feel like it's usually a warning sign for me at this point in my collecting.
Yeah.
So I got to find that comment about Batman Who Damned, but several people commenting on how much they liked it.
Who's Batman Who Damned? What's that?
Sorry, Batman Who Damned.
Is that a different book that we're not aware of?
See, this is I struggle. I'm struggling this week. But there was Comic Head said that the Key Collector app cites Batman Damned 2 as Harley sexually assaults Batman.
I saw it.
Yeah, that's accurate. That is what happened.
I would say it might have happened in the original version of Batman Damned 2, but this version, I don't even know that he gets his utility belt all the way off.
Well, she does lick his face without his permission.
Yeah, and that's definitely awkward.
Yeah, imagine doing that to a coworker. You would be fired.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I have been several times.
Comic Head 84 said, anyone else find it odd that a guy rap battled Batman in the nightclub scenes of Batman Damned?
That was a riot.
I thought that was interesting. I thought the scene was really cool where he's like,
so I guess we don't want to ruin that too much because Bueller hasn't read it yet.
Yeah, Bueller.
That's all right.
You got to earmuffs for this section.
I'm okay with spoilers, so that's all good.
I don't want to talk about it too long, so I don't want to go for another half an hour with it. But I thought the scene was really cool when he's like, oh, they'll kill you too, and it's like, well, they're going to kill each other, and all pointing the guns at each other's heads. That guy just like had full control of the crowd.
Yeah, and I'm
sweet rhymes.
Fully aware of all the DC side characters that they're referencing. I know that they referenced the villain from the Suicide Squad movie, the Enchantress, or I don't know her name, the witch woman from Suicide Squad movie, the one who's like the real villain of that film. She makes an appearance here and is like this sort of witch enchantress character, and then Dead Man, who I really know almost nothing about as far as a DC character. He plays a pretty big part. He comes in. I thought Constantine was a riot. I still think the best thing they're doing in Batman Damned is pairing Bruce Wayne with John Constantine. I think the two of them together are
very good.
Riot.
I love the character selection that they have in this book. I think
Dead
they
Man.
all go very well together. Dead Man, Constantine, Batman, all of them just fit this story very well.
Bake asks an excellent question. I heard Batman Damned 2 was toned down in some scenes after the Batwang, along with canceling of that other history of the DC. Do you think that jeopardizes the Black Label? Certainly doesn't put it in a good spot. You know, I think, but on the other hand, like, I think this is good enough that, and people are still excited about it. Clearly, like, it was flying off the shelf of all of my LCSs. That I think if it sells well enough, I don't think it's going to necessarily jeopardize it per se, but it certainly puts a black mark on it, no pun intended. Thank you, Bueller.
How are they selling in your LCS, Bueller?
It looks like everyone I saw in there had it in their hand. So it's probably gonna. Obviously, the print run's probably quite a bit more than the first
Ridiculous,
issue.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure they'll sell it. It's a good story. The first one was a great story, even without all the hoopla of the first one. It's a great story, so it's going to sell. And not to mention, it's a neat looking book. I mean, just you see that sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, you're gonna pick it up.
Yeah, you're gonna grab it.
So. Even if you're not gonna buy it, like that, this cover with the Harley cover, like, sorry, Jim Lee. Yeah. This cover knocked.
No, that's the one I got too.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yep, that's the one I got too.
Decaf Raven says the Black Label will be fine after they release the first appearance of the Super Wang in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, whole big sake. I was just wondering, because the whole label is based on artist vision and not being filtered. Yeah, so this goes into our debate topic of the week, but I want to, before we get into that, just want to say that I think this book, 2 thumbs up from me.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to get the 3rd issue in the story for sure. But I will concur with some of the chat in my feelings very much so that this, I can tell that this issue was toned down, and I feel like that harms my interest in the Black Label as a whole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because what's the point of it? It's like, imagine if tomorrow HBO got in trouble for cursing and all of their shows like Deadwood or whatever just stopped having people curse.
So like, I'm going to show a page
that affect your interest in the artistic integrity of those programs.
Both a spoiler and probably not safe for work. So avert your eyes. This page right here, that was 100% supposed to be a boob.
It's supposed to be a boob.
It was. You can tell that, like.
I can concur. That's supposed to be a boob.
But come on this
cloth is drawn differently than this cloth.
Yeah.
And on this particular YouTube channel, we got 3 boobs. So what are you gonna do?
Hey-o. Nailed it. Speak for yourself, buddy.
I'm proud to be a boob.
So speaking of boobs and boobs.
Yeah, so for me, like I think, like, I just am bothered that the whole point of releasing a Black Label was this idea that you could have a real outside the box in the format, in the size of the book, in every element, and then to backtrack it for something so ridiculous just really it frustrates me.
The size of the book is great for the art, but drives me nuts for storing it.
Yeah. Gotta find a bag and board that will fit that.
Well, and I agree with I got issues. The shot of him at the very end with the bat signal and he's throwing her down on it, I would imagine that was definitely supposed to be more gratuitous than it ended up being.
Yeah, and the Enchantress or whatever is in the reflection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
do you want to throw our debate question out there?
We got an Al Swearingen quote in the chat. What's up, Deadwood?
Gotta love Al Swearingen, man.
Greatest character maybe ever in a show. So yeah, our debate topic this week is: should nudity in comics be a big deal in 2018?
And I mean, and I had talked to Bueller earlier this week about, in general, the idea of the future of comics and what it means for kids and what it means for collecting, you know, when kids get older and how are they going to collect books and what is that going to look like? And for me, like, this connects to that in the sense that we're talking about kids who are far more used to certain things or being held back and hidden from certain things. I feel like I can't believe that we live in a country or in a time when nudity in a comic book is still like shocking to people.
Well, and this is also, I don't want to say strictly, but definitely an American issue.
Yes.
Like if this came out in France or even England, like no one would have batted an eye at it.
Yeah.
If a comic has nudity, it should just be top shelf and unavailable to minors. Yeah, I mean, doesn't mean you can't make it. I feel like if the video game industry can figure it out and the movie industry can figure it out, there's no reason why a comic industry can't figure it out. I think it is appropriate to not just like necessarily have it available to everyone if it's especially vulgar, but like Vertigo books have been on the shelves for years, and anyone can go pick one of those up, and I've seen way worse stuff than a Batwing in those comics.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of comics that have a bunch of nudity, but they're just not they're not titled Batman.
Yeah, right. And I think that's why people freaked out about it.
That's the big deal.
I have a friend who jokes that I only like comics with wieners in it because I read so many comics with wieners in it that happen to have wieners in it.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
But like, Why the Last Man does.
No. I'm saying, tell us more. I want to listen.
Oh, yeah. So a wiener is a thing. No. But I think like my point is that there's been so many comics. There've been enough comics with a dick in it that he can make that joke. But like now, this is the one that people are freaking out about.
Yeah. Oh, and so I'll tell you a quick story about it. Like for me, like I'm a dad and I go to the comic book shop and I bring my girls and they go and there's certain sections of the store they can peruse or whatever. And so I got Issues Point, like you put it on a different shelf or you put it in a different bag or you just organize it a little bit at the shop. At the same time, so the other day I'm checking out my books and Kate's going through the my comic shop has a spinner rack, you know, Bueller spinner rack. Yeah. And they got all those dollar issues from Marvel. Those True Believers are on it. And so she's cruising through there and she's looking at it and I'm grabbing my books and I turn around. She has grabbed a Saga #1 True Believer version or whatever, the dollar Saga.
Yeah, the Image First.
Yeah. And the first page of that is her giving birth and she's screaming something like, am I shitting? I feel like I'm shitting.
Yeah.
That's the first page.
And
that is
she's
the first
also
page.
Naked.
Yeah, she's fully nude. She's giving birth, and she is screaming, am I shitting? And I'm like, okay, well, I know Kate saw that page.
So I think this is the issue, right? This says DC Black Label. This means nothing.
Well, and I'm gonna say, like,
it says right here, mature readers. That's it.
Well, but my point was, like, even if you put it on a different shelf, even if you ostracize it in certain ways, like a comic book shop should be for everybody. And I get that. And I have daughters and I bring them to the shop. But at the same time, they're going to get exposed to things like violence and whatever. And if you can't have an open conversation with your kid about those things, then that's not the place to bring them. So I'm speaking as a parent, as a teacher, and as a comic book lover. Like, I really just get frustrated by the whole conversation. I don't understand why it can't just be personal parenting and responsibility.
Yeah. I agree. I don't have kids, so it's easy for me to say, but you know, it's a much different world now than when we were growing up with the internet. Like, kids are exposed to stuff way more often and way easier than they were. Like, even if you in your home don't let children access the internet or watch cable or whatever the case may be, they have friends who do. And so like, it's impossible to just put them in a bubble. So if the worst thing they see is a wiener in a Batman book, it's probably a good week.
you know, I look at it like I don't have any problem with nudity, okay, but I do believe that you can tell a story without it. I look behind John, and he's got a bunch of DVDs behind him. he's a big fan of Lost. Does Lost need nudity in it to tell a good story?
No.
Not one bit. Okay. Breaking Bad, another story, one of the best ones ever done on television. Was there nudity in that one? No. There are certain avenues to where you can put nudity in the comic and it makes sense. Saga is one of them. Do you need to put nudity in Batman Damned? No, you do not need to put it in there. Can you? Sure. But really, it doesn't enhance the story at all. When it makes sense to the story, and, you know, I go back to Watchmen, and there's that scene where they're making love or whatnot, you know, that made sense. That went into the story itself. Dr. Manhattan, you know, he's got like all energy or whatnot. So he's like naked the whole time, you know, that made sense. Stuff like that, I don't have a problem with, but that when they do it, just to do it, just to get the factor to, oh, now everybody's talking about Batman Damned because we put that in there for no reason. Nobody would have been talking if there wasn't any nudity. Nobody would have said, how come there's no nudity in that book? That wouldn't have been a conversation.
Sure. I think what they were trying to do with it was show his, you know, exposed, vulnerable, broken self. And I think they were trying to do that through him being naked. And I think it would have been like, if the tables were turned and it were a female character, you know, you could say like, well, just put him in shadows or whatever, so you don't see anything. But if it were a female character, they would have not thought, like, no one would think twice about showing a boob. But because it's a woman,
I almost viewed it as the opposite. I almost felt like they did it with Batman first in the first issue, so that people wouldn't feel like, well, this is the typical comic book world where the women are scantily clad and always nude, and the guys are, you know, always look buff and don't have to worry about skimpy clothing. I think they tried to flip the script so that the first issue was the guy is the naked one, so that it would give them carte blanche to do whatever they wanted later on, and they could always fall back on saying, well, we did it with the guy in the first one. What are you talking about? It's equal opportunity.
I think there was some of that, but for me, I don't know. It worked in the story. I'm
not saying it didn't work at all, because I do think it made sense where he was and what he was trying to do with his body scan he was doing in the moment. Like, it made sense. I didn't think it was gratuitous. But like Bueller's saying, at the same time, does it need it?
No, you could have implied that he was nude, like I was saying, without showing his ding dong.
The NYPD Blue way, right? Just go NYPD Blue.
Show his butt.
Show from the back.
But then in this issue, if they were intending to have like a full frontal Harley, then it brings that question up of just like, well, you're going to show a lady naked, but you're going to hide Batman. And so then there'd be a whole different controversy. So I think that in general in media, it is an issue where, you know, obviously, typically women are viewed more as pleasant to look at, I think.
Or objects in general.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would agree with that, but that's an unfair assessment. But so I think like a lot of times when there's male nudity, people are like shocked because it's much more aggressive. Yeah, I mean, that's the case on anything. I mean, you have any type of male genitalia showing on any type of movie, they automatically slap like almost an NC-17 on that thing. I mean, well, Game of Thrones does it. Yeah, I've seen some wieners on there. A lot of HBO shows have done it.
If I could do a counterpoint to Bueller's comment earlier, so Bueller's saying, like, it's a Batman comic, does it need it? I would say the only counterpoint I had to that is that the whole point of the Black Label was to give artists a chance to really go hog wild in that world, because yeah, the world of Marvel and the world of DC is so controlled editorially, right? It's like Disney's like realm in the sense that like you're not going to see anything that breaks the mold, because they want to control the product so highly. To give the artist the freedom to say, you know what, Batman would curse. He would also be incredibly violent. These things would be the reality. He's not going to be the guy who never swears. And of course the criminals like the Jokers and these guys, they're going to commit heinously violent crime. You know, it's not going to be PG-13 or what have you. So is this the opportunity to really just do that and show that and make the R-rated version?
Right, because it's easy for them to say go and do Watchmen because that has no impact on their properties. So it's like, yeah, go do Watchmen, tell the story you want, show as much nudity and much cursing as you want, but don't touch Batman, don't touch Green Lantern, don't touch Superman, or whatever the case may be. And that was like the advertisement, you're right, for the Black Label, where it's like creators can do whatever they want with the characters, and it's, you know, not reined in by anything. Count Von Strange says Warner Brothers grabbed DC by the balls and ruined the Black Label.
And that would be my fear with obviously Marvel ever doing something like that, because obviously Disney has a big hand on the purse strings there as well.
The Peter Parker showed his penis before.
Yes, he has.
There's issues with him. I can't remember what it's called. I got it somewhere around here, but he's you're seeing you know, the Peter Wiener, you know, whatever Peter, whatever you want to call it.
Old man Peter Wiener too.
Yeah. You know, so
it was like it's like something out of a Frank Miller story.
You don't have
slightly
to describe
to the left.
You don't have to describe it in detail there.
They just says slightly to the left.
But I mean, I'm trying to be a devil's advocate here. I want to be perfectly clear. I don't have a problem with nudity at all. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
I mean, I enjoy the nudity. Let's just be honest. You know, but I see it. You know, I can see it from a few different standpoints. I can see like the Batman character and being what that represents and all the years and the history that's involved and all the people have put time and effort into it. Batman is a household name. Your mom knows who Batman, your grandmother knows who Batman. Okay. A lot of those moms went and bought that book. From what I heard, like, oh, I heard there's a Batman wiener in there type thing. You know, it sparks interest. And my mom didn't, just so we know. My mom didn't.
I'm just curious. I was waiting for that reveal.
No, she came in. She just borrowed my copy. I'm still waiting to get it back. But you know, I look at, like, we had this conversation when it came out a month and a half ago, or whenever it was, on the Comic Core, and it didn't sit, like I said, it didn't sit well with me because I thought it was just there to spark the conversation that we're having right now. That's what I saw. Now you say some people brought it up, like it showed his vulnerability, and I saw that the plot point in that story. And it did show that. And you're saying, you know, if the artist has carte blanche to do whatever he wants, you know, I kind of see that as like, okay, if they do, why don't they make a scene that makes sense, that really pushes the barrier? Okay, there's a movie called Bronson. I don't know if you've seen it. And they push the barrier with the guy in there. He's playing Venom. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He plays Venom right now.
It's about it's about an Australian serial killer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they push the limit in that movie. Okay, he's like naked for like a big part, and there's a big, huge fight scene. That is what I would anticipate a Black Label to be. That's what I would like to see. Yeah, sure. Tom Hardy, Jeffrey just said that.
Same thing with Eastern Promises. There's a big naked fight scene with Viggo Mortensen in that movie.
Exactly. That's the type of thing I was thinking, okay, Black Label, that's what we're getting. Instead, we get a little peek just to spark this conversation, and that's what it is. And I can guarantee you that they're sitting there when that guy drew it and said, we're going to publish this. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to get, people are going to be talking. That's what's going to do.
So you think they should have jumped to the deep end and had the whole issue just be like a bunch of naked people fighting?
That sounds awesome, man. Just grip it and rip it. Let's do it.
Batman eyes wide shut.
Yeah, there you go.
I got issue said arachnads. I thought that was a quality joke. I just wanted to shout that out.
I saw Peter Pecker as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
I would say that what you're talking about then is more like what this current Batman Damned 2 was trying to do, because that is a real chance for a raw sexual assault.
Sure.
And you have a character like Harley who's clearly self-destructive, and she's trying to push Batman to a place where he will do something horrible to her. She wants him to murder her, basically.
Well, she even says that, right? She's like, how do you expect me to live without him or something?
Yeah.
So then that is the opportunity to push that label right to where it wants to go, to be really raw, really edgy, and to have that scene that is deserving of the black label. But now the moment that they've been building towards has to be neutered so that it can be passable.
Can I just say, though, to pull this conversation back for a moment, regardless of the fact of whether or not she was nude or not at the end, Batman strangling a female to death, I think, is pushing the boundaries pretty far.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anyone talk about that. Everyone, like Key Collector is saying that, the sexual harassment thing, which like is important to talk about. Don't get me wrong. But I think like there's a violence against women issue as well that is kind of not, being addressed because everyone's worried about a penis.
Well, as far as like in the superhero realm, it's not uncommon for males and females to battle each other. Obviously, it is uncommon for Batman to kill somebody, type thing.
Right, sure, but most of the time in comic books, the violence is much more inconsequential and much more cartoonish, whereas this was very, I don't know, felt very real.
And then obviously you commented on the fact that he's being manipulated. You have the Enchantress sort of in the puddle on the ground manipulating him. And I got issues talked about is asking about her scars, because she's got like a Y incision on her chest from some kind of surgery, something.
Yeah, they look like like scars from an autopsy.
Yeah,
exactly. Scars. And then Grey Hulk Matter is saying he was more disturbed by the animated Killing Joke and the Batman having a relationship with the Batgirl.
Big Will says, this is America, we don't care about violence, but the no places. And TJ said something earlier very similar. And it's true, like how often do you see like pretty brutal violence on television, but like you can't say the F word or show a butt without people losing their minds.
I look back and it brings to mind is the Batman and Dark Knight by Frank Miller, and the scene where the Joker assaults Selena Kyle and leaves her all tied up, and in the book she's wearing a Wonder Woman outfit and stuff, but I mean one of my favorite books. But I mean that's I'm assuming he sexually assaulted her. They actually mentioned that in the I think the animated movie. I can't remember the book if they said that for sure, but kind of just reminded me of that.
Yeah, and I think it's understated in the comic book, that moment, and that's the point. It leaves it to the imagination, which is just as horrifying and just as powerful. I think that that sometimes you can do more with doing less, and that's definitely a moment where that happens.
But Frank Miller, I think, is a classic misogynist.
But I don't think Azzarello is that far off.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, if you look at like his style and the stuff that he's done, I feel like he has definitely got a modern Frank Miller thing going in a lot of ways, which is a huge compliment in my book. I mean, I'm
sure Frank Miller's a great writer, but
that he has some of those same
everyone has their flaws.
Yeah. And I think that there were definitely misogynistic elements to 100 Bullets, which is something I adore and I think is great. But it has those same moments. And I'd argue that you certainly have moments like that here where the men dominate the story and the women are placed in the background or periphery.
What was that Batgirl cover with the Joker? That was a huge deal because it implied the Joker sexually assaulted her. Yeah, that never came out. I don't know if it implied he sexually assaulted her, but he had his hand around her neck, and Alex Ross did a cover where Batman is holding Joker around the neck because of it. And that was fine. And like I understand where the difference is, but yeah, he definitely sexually assaulted her in The Killing Joke. He took like a bunch of photos of her and sent them to Jim Gordon. But yeah, that cover never got released because there was an outcry like before it even came out because it was very, I I mean, obviously distressing for a very real issue for a lot of people.
Well, and I think the three of us might be a bad for this debate topic at least.
Sure.
Just in the sense that you're talking about big cities, all of us, on the coasts of the United States, living in in and around big cities. I think we're not middle America in the sense that maybe it's possible that some of the other people in the chat are around people that were upset by Batman Damned 1 and had that feeling. It doesn't seem like I've seen that in the chat, but it's certainly possible because obviously everybody I've talked to about this doesn't get what the fuss was about, doesn't understand why people made a big deal out of it. That it felt like a media thing less than an actual thing.
And I think you're right on with that, because I didn't meet anyone who was upset. And I was actually talking to someone the other day. I was like, you always hear, you're not supposed to say Merry Christmas to people because they might get offended. I have never met a single person who's got offended by saying Merry Christmas to someone, but I've always heard people say, "Oh, you're not supposed to say it because people get offended." Have you ever met someone who got mad because you said that? It's like an urban legend almost.
I think the argument there is that you only hear people say Merry Christmas, but that it's gotten twisted into that. Is that like there's no representation for other holidays, which whatever, Christmas is a capitalist holiday now, and we're a capitalist nation, so it makes sense to have it be the forefront. But I
think I found that guy not to say Merry Christmas to.
No, it's fine.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know anything about Christmas. I don't have a Christmas tree in my. It's all just a normal day, right?
To that argument, if someone says Happy Hanukkah to me, I'm not gonna be like, how dare you? I don't celebrate Hanukkah.
Well, and inversely, it's not like people are saying Happy Holidays and then being mad that I said Happy Holidays or whatever. I'm just said something nice to you. Most people I know would be like,
thank you,
thanks for saying something nice to me.
Right. But to your point, I think this feels like it was more of a media outcry than it was
here we go,
population outcry with the Batman Damned 1, where someone in the media grabbed a hold of the story and said, "Hey, we can get ratings by talking about this," and then people got offended.
Yep. They put the cart before the horse.
And for my part, the people that got offended clearly didn't buy the book.
Yeah.
I always feel like we're a capitalist.
That's always the case, right? The people who are offended by stuff don't really read the content. You don't show them you don't like it with your pocketbook. It's the same with when that movie Dogma came out by Kevin Smith. It was show them you don't care by don't going to the movie. Yes, comic says I just say bah humbug and offend everyone the same. I knew I liked you, DS.
We're not trying to get into politics as much as we're trying to understand where the line is for our nation, because it does seem to be in an unusual spot where it fluctuates at really odd times. And this felt like a time when it ruined, in my opinion, or at least it didn't ruin. It affected artistic elements that I felt like maybe I just really wanted the hashtag Dr. Quinn titties, and I was just kind of bummed that I didn't get it.
I think that as someone who went to an art school and obviously is very against censorship, I think that bums me out more than anything. Regardless of what they're censoring. That's my 2 cents.
There you go.
So this was fun.
Oh, good times.
Well, honestly, I knew that we would have a dark issue episode just with these two books.
Yeah, how could we?
But at the same time, artistically, some really unusual stuff, and that's always really exciting.
Can I end by showing off a couple things?
Maybe. It depends on what you're going to show.
What Wayne? No Bat Wayne.
I got these in the mail today.
We know all about what comics you like now.
Yeah. So neither of these have wieners in them, as far as I can tell. But they're very cool, and I saw some other people got theirs in the mail today as well. And John is going to be really mad at me for showing these, but
I'm just not going to look. I'm just going to turn
away.
Turn my back here and
I got a set of Zatanna 1 through 14, so I'm missing 2 issues today. Yeah, John's got his hand up to the camera. Okay, they're gone.
That looks like something else.
Kimberly has a winner. I don't know, maybe she
honestly,
does.
Ever since Matt showed all those Zatanna books he's got, I've been like, you know what? I got to find some of these. And they're nowhere. They are literally nowhere except at your house and his house.
Kachung says, so Archie next week.
Yeah, definitely Bake the Snake. Definitely no wieners in those books.
And I also want to give a quick update on my race I'm having, because this is just aggravating as all hell. I called CBCS 26 times before I got an answer over the course of the last 10 days.
Eesh.
And the answer I got, so I'm 9 weeks past my initial 6 to 12 week estimate that was supposed to be an additional 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm 3 weeks beyond the maximum of the maximum delay of the maximum estimate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This is like with the cable company.
Yeah, I'm at 21 weeks. So I finally get someone on the phone today, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you'll probably see them shipping the first or second week of January." So that'll be a full
6 weeks.
Full 6 months.
Wow.
And that's assuming that he wasn't trying to, downplay the extra delay.
What about the CGC books?
Mm-hmm.
The CGC books, as far as I know, are still impressing. I've not gotten a further update on them, but CGC has a legitimate chance now.
I feel like this isn't the tortoise and the hare. This is the tortoise and a clam.
Yeah, it's like the yeah, I don't know.
Bake the Snake. Bake the Snake beat me to that joke in the chat. He beat me.
But except if like instead of the hare taking a picnic, the tortoise is taking a picnic.
Well, and the hare's dead.
They have customer service grading books too. For all I know, they might, because there's no one answering the phones.
So I want to.
This is which one is this for?
CBCS versus
CBCS.
CGC.
So is this normal for them, or what's the deal? I've never graded a book, so I don't know what the time frame is.
My first 2 submissions that I submitted back earlier in the year took towards, a little bit over the normal estimate, but wasn't like this. Tony Sanders says, yeah, that's what happened to me for 2 books, 6 months. But were those signature verification or anything, Tony?
Oh,
yeah. Mine are just straight modern grading. So there's.
But they didn't see. So CBCS moved facilities, right? And that they're blaming a lot of the lag right now on a change in facilities.
But I'm sick of hearing that, because if you didn't.
I'm not saying it's a good excuse. I'm just saying, Bueller and I, who don't submit anything, that was a piece of the puzzle I was really missing, was understanding that they had moved to another state, I think.
Yeah,
right?
They moved from Florida to Texas.
Huh.
But how do you not have something a plan in place? And so, but honestly, the thing that makes me more upset than anything is, so I get this guy on the horn, and I'm like, yeah, so this thing that you released that is supposed to tell me the delay still says 4 to 6 weeks. So why am I at 9 weeks? And he's like, oh yeah, we should probably update that. I'm like, yeah, you probably should. So you're not even communicating properly with your customers about how badly you're screwing up.
Man, I'll tell you, these comics, they get you every time.
I mean, first world problems, but come on.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about. Firstly, Bueller, thank you so much for being an awesome substitute and breaking our streak. You're the first person to double host with us, so thank you for that.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you thinking of me and stuff. I was glad I was going to be able to come on here and talk about naked people. So I'm not going to pass that up. Give me a break.
You were the first person that jumped to our mind when it came to Batwing.
You know what? I kind of figured that. So thank you.
And we do want to send best wishes to Comic Books NYC. Hope he gets better soon.
Yeah, get well soon, brother.
Show at some point. So do we want to announce for next week? Because we're breaking a couple of trends for next week.
Yeah, we're trend breakers of our own trends. Go ahead.
Firstly, we are having our first female guest next week.
Nice.
So we're having Erin from the Geek Street 101 podcast, one of Comic Tom's a crew there. She's going to be joining us next week on my channel. We're also breaking our trend of only doing first issues, because next week we are doing a second issue. This is Middle West 2.
We liked it enough to do it twice.
Honestly, we were bummed that Matt couldn't make it. Matt, who did issue 1 with us, we asked him if he could make it, but it just did not fit with his schedule. And knowing Erin a little bit and how into indie comics she is, I knew that she'd be a really great fit. We were trying to figure out a spot for her to go, and she said she was up, so it was perfect, like framing of times. I think
worked out really well. And now we just need to. We've done last week. We did a book by a female artist, so we're getting there.
Yeah, we're spreading the wealth a little bit.
Diversity.
We're getting there.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to our guest and the book. And I made sure that I asked my shop to put it on my list, so I don't have to run around all tarnation trying to find a copy.
Well, yeah, I mean, ever since, that's on my pull list. Die is on my pull list. Dead Man Logan is on my pull list. I'm having to take stuff off to replace it. Just
because of this show.
Yeah, because of this show, I'm starting to get into way too many. Later on, it might be a thing where I can start pulling, Dead Man Logan off so I can put something else in its place. Thankfully, I didn't have to put, Uncanny X-Men or any of those other ones. Those are all off.
So, John, what do you got? Something else coming on this week?
I noticed that last week I live streamed on Wednesday night. I jumped into a chat on Thursday with Matt because he was opening something. I was on the hunt on Friday night. I took Saturday off. I jumped in and did some live streams on Sunday, and then I jumped on. Was it Tuesday night? I was on with Sasquatch. And now here on Wednesday again. I think I only missed 2 days in the last 8 that I've been online. I need a break.
Yeah.
I need to take some time. So I'm off until Saturday morning. I'm doing with the girls, obviously. And I'm going to be in your chat doing your moderating because you've got Comic Tom on Friday night at 5:30.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to that debate. I love this debate.
What was that?
I said I love this debate. Sorry.
Oh, I said that was a mischievous laugh.
Yeah. Well, Tom's a big fan of the variant. He thinks the more the better. I obviously am on the other side of that fence. And, both of us have we've been around for a long time, and stuff, and we kind of know the ins and outs of like a local shop business and stuff like that. So I'm curious to get into it with him and talk about it and see what he comes up with. And, he's Tom's a great guy and stuff. And I think a friendly debate on something like this should be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's the same when you had Reggie on. I think it was a great topic and a great person to have sharing that debate, or at least the discussion, having that discussion. Yeah. Like you, I think, I mean, at least I don't want to speak for you, but I like variants. I enjoy variants. It's when it's like this book this week, or when it's that Uncanny X-Men or the Fantastic Four #1, when it's just insanity. Yeah. I think at that point it's stupid.
Well, you brought it up that the Key Collector Comics app had that listed as a key now as Batman gets sexual assault. That guy's going to be my guest next Friday. And,
he's great. I love Nick.
So Nick's going to be on there with me, and we're talking about his app. I mean, that's pretty much all I want to cover with him because it's such a great app. I use it all the time and stuff.
Yeah,
so
really good.
I'll definitely ask him about the sexual assault. So I'm making that a key.
Yeah, I think we probably all subscribe to that app already.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking a week off, so I'll be back next Wednesday for this. But
and you've been dropping videos like crazy. You had that great AOK last night. You had you had the John Buscema video that you partnered with. JD's got the other half on his channel. You've been working hard.
The Cut Sunday night with Matt. And I did the State of the Union, which just came out last week, which has been getting a tremendous response. So I thank everyone for participating and viewing that.
I enjoyed that. I watched that the other night.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Mostly to the credit of the people who sent me videos. All I did was, like this guy. So John actually did 2 videos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm partially glad you did use all of what I shot.
He did this whole video of him, like, as a politician in a suit, being like, "The state of the comics union is strong," and it was very funny. But I felt like it didn't.
I shot it. So I shot mine twice, right? I shot it in a suit, like I was a politician giving a speech. I even had my phone with like an audience applause sound effect that I could hit anytime I wanted to and have an audience applause. And then I shot it with me sitting on the couch, just like, and it was kind of like the pros and cons of the thing. But it was so all over the place. I was like, here you go, dude, just have fun with me or whatever. Like, and so he's got this footage. Someday it's going to show up at the end of some video and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
No, I'll be kind. Anyone who trusted me with their footage, I'm not going to mess with it. Yeah, in a 12-hour TJ unboxing, it's right, Kachung. It was 2, but it was I'm still recovering from it. It was very intense for me.
Yeah. Real quick, Bake the Snake has a question about the prices on the app, the Key Collector app, and I think even Nick has admitted that the prices are hard to keep permanent on there and constantly fluctuate, and that he just does his best to get close to the mark. And I'm sure he'll talk about it with Bueller when he's on there. It's a great question for him to get into, but I've heard him talk, especially with the more modern books. It's really hard for him to stay on top of that fluctuation as books are spiking or plummeting. But when I've seen his videos, because he has a YouTube channel, the videos I've seen where he discusses it, he does his best to kind of create a ballpark, and then it's hard with the amount of fluctuation we're seeing these days.
Yeah, I use 3 different sources for online price guides, and like, for example, close your eyes, John. These books here, which go for like not a crazy amount of money, but like a few bucks a piece, and the next issue in this run, 15, goes for about $70 online. One of the price guides I use lists the whole series at 3 all the way down the row, and it's just like not the case. So I think it's really hard to keep up with everything. Yeah, Comic Books NYC has the flu. He's
okay, and from what I understand, he's getting some fluids. He was just really feeling dizzy and coughing a lot, and it didn't sound like anything that was life-threatening or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
don't want to get
preventative.
Don't want to get like a charity started in his name or anything.
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, it's not anything that serious. And I'm sure if you drop him a line on Instagram and just check in on him, he's doing well. We didn't want him to push it, and his voice was gone and he was coughing and getting fluids and all that stuff. So we just send him good wishes, but he should be on here soon enough.
Yeah, 16 dem legs. Yeah, so they were in like a pack together. It was a set. They were selling them as a set at the store. And I mean, they didn't have 15 and 16, but I wasn't going to complain. I got them for $20.
I hate this story.
Yeah, so I need 15 and 16 now. So if anyone,
well, those are the ones too, though.
Yeah,
So just a quick comment, everybody. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to Bueller. I'm sure you all are, but make sure you sub up Bueller. I'm sure his thing is in the chat. And then more important than all that, I'm the guy sucking hind teat in this whole thing here. Somebody subbed me at some point.
Yeah, definitely sub up John. His channel is
Alec is like he's gunning for 333. I don't know that I can even see 300 from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
I want to tell you guys. I want to take a minute and just tell you guys that I haven't been doing it for very long. I just started in like February, March. But over the last few months, like John and Alec and yourself, there's been some really good channels come to YouTube, and you guys are right there. And like, good channel.
I thought you were going to say there's some really good channels, and you should check them out.
No. I mean, I'm talking about you guys like you that are coming in and doing some really neat stuff that's just a little bit more than what we might have been seeing in the past. And you're bringing something new to it. And I've talked to some other people, and that's the golden age of comic book YouTube right now.
It is.
Because there's a lot of really good people out there, and they're popping up left and right. Like there was someone in here earlier in the chat, and I saw it in here. I meant to say something to him. I don't know if he's still here. I'm scrolling up here. Oh, Discovery Bay Comics. Okay. So he just started doing videos, and he's only got like 5 or 6, and I was watching a few of them, and he's like just recently do it because he's watching like myself or Tom, or he's watching you, John, as well, and some other new people and stuff. And a lot of people are just kind of jumping on board and really enjoying this. And it's nice to see the positivity and the kindness come out, because from what I've been told, there was a wave of negativity in the comic book community in the past. Yeah. And you know what? I don't really think there's a place for that, to be totally honest with you. You know, I sit there and I was thinking the other day, and there's a gentleman, I don't really know him or nothing like that, but he built a comic book, a YouTube channel on being just a jerk and just negative the whole time. And I don't know if he still does it or whatnot. You know, I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
But it's like, you know, you look at something like that, and you just in the back of your mind, like, man, that's you know, I don't want to do that. You know, that doesn't interest me at the least, type thing.
I don't understand like infighting in groups like this. Like same thing. Like I'm connected to the metal community, and not like I'm connected to the comic community, but like when people bicker in their own community, it's like we're all here because we love the same thing. Just like, just be cool, man. It's
a good time. There's a good wave of you know, positivity or whatever. I don't mean to sound all preacher or whatnot, but it's nice to sit there and see people smile and really enjoy it, and that goes a long way. So I just want to say thanks to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. And I think Reggie, I always think about Reggie saying, you know, he keeps going back to that idea of collect what you love. And I think that's what these channels all become, is people talking about the things that they really love. And you can roll into Matt's chat and hear him talking about Green Lantern. And I'm like, I don't know enough or even really love Green Lantern, but his enthusiasm and interest is infectious and entertaining. And it's the same with, I'm sure, when Matt watches Reggie going off on Spider-Man or X-Men, he's like, I don't really love these characters as much as he does, but it's infectious and it's entertaining. And it's not focusing on, oh, I hate this. This is what I hate about Marvel. This is what we could all make those videos.
Yeah, sure.
But but why? It's way more fun to talk about, oh my gosh, my daughter just got into learning who Sentry is, and she's like freaking out over this character. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I could spend time complaining about the current state of the Avengers or Uncanny X-Men now, but what's the point?
Yeah. And I mean, even like you look at my artist review series videos, and I did that Rob Liefeld where like I could have dumped on him the whole time, or I didn't have to do it at all. You know, I could have just like left him alone, but I tried to look on the bright side because I think that, you know, we need to be more positive about this thing that we love, because or else it's going to crumble.
I got one more thing I want to say real quick, and this is off topic, but the other night I was on a live stream with Jeffrey Comic-Con and Sam, and it
was great, by the way. Everybody should find it on Jeffrey's channel, because the three of you are so freaking good together.
I had a blast. I was laughing. For one, I really enjoy having Sam with me, and then Jeffrey, who we've all met. We've all hung out and went comic shopping. Jeffrey came up here, and Sam, of course, is local. And it was a great time. So if you haven't seen that, go watch it. But here's the thing about Sam, okay? And people might not know this. Go to Sam's channel, Sam's Tangled Web. 11 years ago, he was doing videos on comics. He was reviewing Civil War. He's been around for 11, 12 years making YouTube videos about comics.
Was he like the first person on YouTube?
It's almost. I mean, I was sitting there. I told that to Legend the other night, because Legend's been around a long time, and I was like, well, the Captain Strangelove, he's been around a long time. So I go and look at his, and he's like 9 years. And then I go look at Sam, and here he is 11, 12 years ago talking about comic books, you know, it's a 180 P resolution type thing. It's
shot on a potato.
The worst thing in the world, but he's there doing it, and it's like, wow, that's really cool when you think about it. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to point it out again on Friday night. So
I love that TJ says you can still find the negativity. Just go over to Facebook.
Yeah. That's why I'm not on Facebook anymore. Everyone sub everyone up in the chat. Because we got a lot of great people in here with a lot of great channels. I'm not going to shout out everyone because we'll be here all night. It's already 12:30.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. We've been on for way too long.
But having fun with you guys. I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate everyone in the chat hanging out for as long as we've been yammering along. And we'll see you next week. Bye.